You had a date on the calendar. You were already mentally planning the next chapter. The price was agreed upon, the negotiations were behind you, and everything felt like it was finally moving in the right direction. Then the inspection report shows up, and suddenly the whole thing feels like it was coming apart. If you've been there, you know exactly what that moment feels like. It's disorienting in a way that's hard to explain to someone who hasn't experienced it. One day, you're talking about timelines and moving plans, and the next day, you're staring at a report that's 20, 30, sometimes 40 pages long with items and photographs and descriptions that make your home feel like it's falling apart, even though you've lived in it for years and never once thought of any of these issues were a problem. And then the requests start coming in, and the excitement you felt just a few days ago is completely replaced by anxiety. Hi, I'm Nathan King with the Nathan King Real Estate Group here in Fresno, California. I've walked sellers through this moment more times than I can count, and I want to talk to you today about what's actually happening when an inspection report threatens to kill a deal, why it happens as often as it does, and exactly how our team handles it so that a good deal doesn't fall apart for the wrong reasons. Because here's something I want you to hear right now, before we get into anything else. The inspection report does not define your home. It defines what an inspector found on a specific day, documented it in a specific way, and presented it in a format that is designed to be thorough. And thorough is not the same thing as alarming. Most of what ends up in an inspection report is completely normal. Home's age, things wear. That is not a reflection of how you took care of your property or how much your home is worth. But the way that the report gets handled in the days that follow can make or break otherwise solid transactions. And that is what I want to talk to you through today. The first thing to understand is that the number of items on the report means almost nothing by itself. I've seen sellers panic over 40 item report when most of the items were things like missing an outlet cover or slow bathroom drain. I've also seen a short report with 3 items that required serious attention. The number is not the story. What matters is how each item gets categorized and addressed, and that's where most people go wrong, including a lot of agents. On our team, we approach every inspection report by breaking it into 3 categories. This is not something we invented, but it is something that we apply with real discipline, and it changes the entire tone of what comes next. Once you know which category each item belongs to, you know exactly how to respond to it, and the way you respond is everything. The first category is safety. These are items that represent a genuine risk to someone living in the home. We're talking about things like active water intrusion, significant electrical issues, roofing failure that could lead to structural damage, or anything that a reasonable person would say creates a real hazard. These items don't get negotiated around. They get addressed, and we encourage sellers to approach them that way because the alternative is almost always worse. Here's why. If a real safety concern exists in the home today, it will exist for the next buyer too. Walk away from this deal and you'll face the same finding 6 weeks from now with a different buyer, except now it's been disclosed. You've lost time on the market and you may have lost leverage depending on what's happening around you. Addressing legitimate safety issues is not a concession. It's protecting your own position and moving the transaction forward on solid ground. The second category is functionality. This is where things get a little bit more nuanced and honestly, where I think a lot of agents leave money on the table because they don't take the time to understand what the buyer actually cares about. Functionality items are things that aren't working the way they should, like an HVAC system that's struggling to keep up, an appliance that's on its last legs, a water heater that's aging out. These are real issues and they deserve a real conversation, but there's almost never just one way to handle them. A seller can repair the item before closing, or they can offer a credit to a buyer so they can choose their own contractor. They can adjust the purchase price to account for it, or in some cases, if the condition was already visible and factored into the original purchase price offered and the buyer was fully aware, we can make the case that this item isn't something we're prepared to address at all. What I've learned after years of dealing with this is that buyers don't, weight all the items the same way. One buyer is worried about the HVAC system and doesn't really care about the appliances. Another would rather a credit at closing instead of having the seller hire a contractor they've never met. When you take the time to understand what the buyer's actually worried about, not just what's on the list, the conversation becomes more collaborative instead of adversarial. You stop reacting to a document and start solving a real problem together. And that is a completely different energy to be working from. The third category is where I see most damage done, and it is the one I feel most strongly about. This is cosmetic items and general wear and tear. Hairline cracks in the drywall, minor settling, a door that sticks slightly in the summer, paint that shows its age, small maintenance items that were visible during every single showing that the buyer walked past with a smile, that played no role whatsoever in their decision to make an offer on this home. These items land in the report just like everything else. They get a line, a photo, and an official sounding description. And the moment they're on paper, they carry a weight they never deserved. Sellers feel pressure to address them because they want the deal to survive. They start saying yes to things that they never should have agreed to. And I understand that impulse. I really do. When you're under contract and you just want to get the deal to closing table, it feels easier to give a little here and a little there, hoping it ends. But here's what actually happens when you do that. You send a signal, and the signal says everything is negotiable. Once that message is received by the buyer, they start to request more and more. The buyer gains confidence. That pushing leads to getting, and you lose control of the conversation that should have stayed on solid ground from the beginning. What started as a reasonable repair negotiation turns into something much messier. And by the time you get to the closing table, if you get there, you give away far more than you ever should have. This is where we hold the line, and not aggressively, not in a way that feels confrontational or puts the deal at risk, but clearly, calmly, and with confidence. We go back to the other side with a straightforward explanation. These items were visible during the showing process. They were part of what the buyer evaluated when they made the offer. They are not safety concerns. They are not functional concerns, and they are not part of what we are prepared to address in this negotiation. Most buyers, when they hear that delivered with clarity and backed by logic, will accept it because it's fair. And reasonable people respond to fairness when someone takes the time to explain it without making it personal. When you manage the inspections this way, when every item has a category and every category has a clear response, something shifts. The conversation stops being reactive and starts being structured. The buyer sees that their legitimate concerns are being taken seriously because they are. The seller stops feeling like they're being picked apart and starts feeling like they're being protected. And the deal moves forward because both sides focus on solving real problems instead of reacting to a list. I want to be honest with you about something. The difference between a transaction that survives this moment and one that doesn't is rarely the report itself. It's almost always who is handling it and how. Because when the pressure is on and emotions are running high, you need someone who stays composed, who can frame the conversation in a way that keeps both sides thinking clearly, and who isn't afraid to hold a reasonable position when the situation calls for it. That is the job, not just getting your home listed, not just finding a buyer, but being there in the moment that actually determines whether this thing closes. This is what our team shows up to do every single day. We don't just prepare your home for the market. We prepare you for every stage of the process, including this one. So when you get to the inspection, you are not caught off guard. You know what to expect. You know how we are going to respond. And you can move through this phase with confidence instead of anxiety because you went into it with a plan. If you're thinking about selling your home, even if it's months away, even if you're just starting to explore what might be possible, reach out to us directly. My team and I will sit down with you, walk you through exactly how we approach every stage of the transaction, and make sure you feel confident before you're ever in the middle of it. Because the sellers who come out of this process feeling good are almost always the ones who had the right information and the right people in place before they ever needed them. I'm Nathan King, and I'll see you in the next video.